and this is how Group K looks now. A reminder that Colombia play Democratic Republic of Congo later tonight. That one has a 3 a.m. kickoff. Portugal, they're top now with 5 points. Ronaldo's off the mark. It's all looking good for them. And 4 points. And Colombia in second place. And it's unlikely that that would change. But James, I was just thinking that that will be the real test for Portugal, really. The final game against Colombia in the group, and it will decide who tops the group.
No, 100%. And that's why it was important tonight that they won, but they won big as well. First game, you know, a few teams started kind of lackluster, but tonight, look, Ronaldo's got his goals, pressure's off him. You know, they scored 5 goals, they won the game, so they'll go on that game now with, you know, a lot less pressure, but make no mistake about it, it's going to be crucial in terms of the next round, where you finish toppers or not.
Yeah, Richie, Colombia looked fairly good when they defeated Uzbekistan. It'll be an interesting final game in the group for Portugal. But I suppose for the group's confidence to get the 5-0 victory, well, it's kind of what they needed, isn't it?
Well, Colombia did look good against Uzbekistan. Portugal looked very good against Uzbekistan. There is a common thread, though. Uzbekistan are a terrible, terrible team. We can't pick really any highlights from their performance today. They were completely outmatched in every metric of a game of football. They were second best by a distance today. But this Portugal team, very confident display. It was significant that he got his goals. I don't think pressure's off him. I think no matter what he does, the world is watching, the world is talking about him, and he cannot possibly do anything that will settle any kind of discussion or debate or doubts about him. So eyes are always still on him, but as a performance, they made that look routine. They just made it look like a very routine exercise, which it was, given the weakness of the opposition.
Yeah, obviously Roberto Martinez will accentuate the positives from that game, and there were positives for Portugal, but we really do have to keep in mind the level of opponent they were facing today.
Absolutely have to take into account who they're playing against. Did we see any other than a Portugal win? Not really. There was probably a 10-minute spell after the first hydration break in the first half of the game where they looked like they were getting into the game, having a bit of a foray, but after that there was nothing.
He's put on a few pounds, by the way.
He let himself go. Yeah, horrendous shape there for a 41-year-old. I think the question marks, and this is what's always going to be bandied about. This is why Ronaldo. It's amazing for us to have a player like that because there's so many talking points. And why, if he is so pivotal to them going forward in the deep into the competition, why against a game where you 4-0 up, do you leave him on the pitch?
Yeah,
because who would take him off? This thing, would you take him off? And that's then it goes back to, is Martinez strong enough of a character to say, pull him off and say, you don't need to finish this game. There's 20 minutes, take out of you, go off the pitch and relax.
Yeah,
but he wants to score 4 or 5.
I think it takes a brave man to take him off when he's on a hat-trick.
But when you think of it, James, would it be for his own good? Because, I mean, if they go deep into the tournament, he's going to have a lot of football in his legs, and he is 41.
Of course, that argument's always there, given his age, but he scored 2 goals tonight, and
he had more chances than anybody else.
He'll be getting off that pitch tonight and thinking there'll be a part of him will be raging that he hasn't scored more but that's the competitive drive in him.
Yeah.
Like, the man's a billionaire, won basically everything else he won, but he still has that drive to do more. So
I think that's where a manager. So his drive it's incredible. It's like nothing I've seen. But that's where someone can go to him. I'm doing what's best for you and for us. If you're going to be our main man, I'm going to take you out of the situation for the last 20 minutes. I know you're chasing those accolades. I know you feel like you could score 5 in this game, which he probably does. Right? He feels like he can catch Messi in that one game. He thinks he can catch up on him in the World Cup. But if they genuinely see him as being the leading man for them going forward, you take him off. Like, I question why Kane wasn't off in the England game. I was on, why would you leave him on in that match? Why would you leave on someone you think is going to be such an influence you going forward and leave them on? Ronaldo's the same.
It's a legitimate question to ask of any of your key players. Like, could you rest him? Should you rest him? When you're his age, it's the most blindingly obvious question, which you can't really answer it in any credible way if you're going to say, no, we need him on the pitch for 90 minutes against the weakest team when the result is settled. Then it starts to become, okay, we're not talking about the team here. We're not talking about what's best for the squad. There's something else here that's causing us to make the decisions we're making. It's him.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Some players hold a bit more sway with the manager, you imagine, than others. Okay. So here are the match stats from Portugal against Uzbekistan, and I want you guys to have a very close look at these stats because I don't know the main significance there, but 568 passes completed, 17 attempts on goal from Portugal, 7 attempts at goal from Uzbekistan, and they had only 2 on target. So first of all, I suppose the point from that is the Portuguese defence definitely wasn't tested today. What about the performance of the Portuguese midfield? Because they received a lot of flack after the opening game.
They were better today, but again, we're judging them against really poor opposition. Like Uzbekistan were almost a non-entity in that game when it comes to it. I said, apart from a 10-minute spell.
Yeah, so you can disregard the defence, but in terms of the midfield, surely they should be totally dominant.
Yeah, they absolutely should be totally dominant, but being totally dominant against a team that has a non-existent midfield is not exactly totally dominant, and that's the thing. You can't judge them based on that performance, because what I judge Vitinha and Neves on is how they perform the PSG against the best teams in the world and the best midfields. And I know on the toughest opponents in the toughest stage, those two players can absolutely run the show. So I'm not judging off that game. I'm judging what I've seen before. That was a stroll in the park for both of them today. They didn't have to get a second gear.
It's not a game or a result that you can say boosts their credentials or boosts their claim to be potential winners. It's what a reasonable team would do. You just swat aside the poorest teams that you face, and that's what they did. So morale boosting, confidence boosting, headline grabbing, scoreline. Ronaldo got his goals. It's all positive. There are no negatives.
No.
But in terms of saying, does that now give us an indication of how far they can go? No. It's not.
Yeah,
I think we knew that before the game.
Yeah.
No, we weren't going to find out much about Portugal today based on who they were playing.
Our kind of judgment of how Portugal can do is based on what those players have been doing throughout the season, and because we've seen the high level they can play at, we're going, you know what, if they get to that as a team now, and as in Portugal, if you can put all that together, they have a really good squad and they have a really good starting 11. But do they do that against
I think Portugal's biggest downfall in this tournament will be Portugal themselves. Like when they go up against adversity, have they got the characters in there? They back each other and not fight with each other. So I think the biggest hindrance to Portugal are Portugal.
And which of the big name players are the players who you'd hope would carry them through the tournament. Which of those would you question in terms of their character? Bruno Fernandes, maybe?
What came out after the first game were all the rumours of like the social media stuff. And,
yes, yeah.
You know, just all little things like that, and you hear rumours about this player's fell out with that player and this. It's just all that internal noise. Then obviously leaks out, and it just causes problems that it doesn't really need to be. For them.
They do have the tricky scenario of, and they're used to it because Ronaldo's been in that dressing room for so long, but they have that challenge of dealing with so much noise being about one player and so much of the commentary being critical of him or that his selection is disrespectful of the opposition, and every interview every one of those players and the manager gives, the majority of the questions are about Cristiano Ronaldo. So you might find that quite tiresome after a while, or a bit tedious, or a bit just boring. But they've surely come to terms with that. But
at this stage,
it's not ideal.
They seem pretty united
but that's
there
the difference,
today,
because when the Argentinian players are asked about Messi, like they can't wait. They praise him and like they're almost excited to talk about him.
But you know what?
That's where you find the kind of the harmony.
I find, and we've done it for years. Every time we mention one of them, we feel obliged to mention the other, and they don't belong in the same category anymore. They just don't. Messi is doing what he's doing, and Ronaldo has been talked about the way he is. Time has caught up on Ronaldo more so. But they don't belong in the same category anymore. I think this isn't just a conversation about the strength of character of a manager up against the will of a player who won't accept the passage of time. This is a game, if you remember, Ronaldo shouldn't have been allowed to play in.
Yeah,
he got a 3-game ban for elbowing Dara O'Shea, was it, in the Aviva?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
It was reduced.
He showed up in the White House with a Saudi delegation meeting Infantino, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. What happened 6 days later? Lo and behold, FIFA decide to do what they haven't done, is to say, do you know what? Instead of your 3 games, we'll knock it down to 2. You've served 1.
Right or wrong, though, you want your the best
why.
players on.
That's why. So
for a commercial,
Martinez isn't
and that's why
just
they'll
up
be delighted
against.
this evening.
Yeah,
correct decision.
Martinez isn't just up against the one player. He's up against the very
World of
biggest
football.
names, the most powerful,
He's
the
probably the most famous
organisation
man in the
itself.
world.
They've broken the or they've bent the rules to get him on the pitch. So it would take a lot
Oh,
for
pure.
Martinez
Okay,
to come
hang
on
on.
and go.
We
"Get
have
off
some
the pitch."
analysis to get to because we can chat about Ronaldo all day, all night, and you chat
Well, I did
about
last night,
Messi all last night.
We just need a
won't talk
delay
about
here,
it
2.5 hours delay.
So let's have a look at first of all the second half goals. In fairness to them, they did get another two. The first one, albeit an own goal.
Yeah, I suppose the only question mark was when and like how soon into the second half would they make it 4-0 and who would it come from? We wouldn't have predicted this. It was a fairly scrappy goal, very, very poor defending for the ball to get that far without somebody clearing it, and really unfortunate. Goes in off Kusanov, then in off the goalkeeper. We think the goalkeeper is the one who's been
it's been credited to the goal.
credited with the
I think that's
OG,
very
but
harsh.
just an example of just how at sea that Uzbekistan team were in defence when they were up against any kind of pressure.
Super finish for the fifth goal from Liao.
It was. This Liao, honestly, he just frustrates me so much. Like, this is an unbelievable finish, and he's capable of this so often. Great play down the right hand side. Semedo at times has run brilliantly, only on at half time. Pull back, gets fortunate with the clearance, but it drops right into his path. And can you finish it? Yeah, he can. Absolutely whips this into the top corner. It's such a good finish, but this guy could be the difference for them if he has his head on straight. Like, he is so talented, he's so quick, he's so strong, but then he walks around and like me and James, he's so
he plays
frustrating.
within himself, doesn't he? Like, he's leaving AC Milan now in the summer, isn't he? Or he's allowed to leave.
Yeah. Why?
And I don't think, exactly. He's in his
Should be in his prime.
approaching his prime years. Like, he's got all the ball in the world, and I don't think they'd be too disappointed to see him go. Which he should look at that and think, I need to do more here. Like, that's a question on my character.
Or maybe he feels now he's back in the shop window and he's going to turn it
Yeah,
on for
maybe,
Portugal
yeah.
at the
He's
World
feeling
Cup.
good about it.
So Portugal 5-0 winners over Uzbekistan. James, you were very positive about Ronaldo and indeed I think about Portugal. So I suppose the question at this point is, before we start concentrating on the next big match coming up, is how far do you think they can go in the tournament now?
Well, before the tournament started, I actually fancied they won it. I don't change my opinion on it. I still think they've got the squad and the ability to do that. Like I said, had they got the temperament, that's probably the only thing that might.
Even though
Might
we've
go
seen
against
France and the firepower
Yeah, no, I
they
don't change
have.
my mind. I think, look, there's so many of the top teams, a few of them kind of laboured in the first game, and you find your feet in the first game. And look, you look back 4 years ago, Argentina lost the first game against Saudi Arabia and went on, they won it. So I wouldn't read too much in the
first couple of
a
games.
slow start. It's over. You'd rather peak towards the business end rather than the first game or two. So I still back Portugal League.
Richie, where do you think they'll go?
I think their insistence on picking Ronaldo and keeping him on for 90 minutes, no matter how things are going, is going to backfire. I don't think you can win a tournament with that policy.
Stephen, finally?
France. France have too many players that can absolutely tear it to shreds at times. So I think they're the ones for me. Yeah, absolutely. France, just their pace, their energy. They've got 5 players, 6 players at any point if you worry about Mbappe, you've got Elise, and then you look at him, and then you've got Barcola, Doué, Dembele. I just think if any one of them is not on form, the other one can pick it up.
Okay, but still an awful lot of football to be played and an awful lot can change over the next few weeks.